But when we look at innovation, we think about disruption, cool stuff, design thinking, young guy in jeans. So we wanted such a speaker, and we've been looking for, we didn't find one. So the only guy we found available today is the old Jim, Jim Maris. So please, come on stage. Hey, you have the jeans.
I do have the jeans.
You have the jeans.
I have the jeans, that's right.
So, just sorry if the answer is negative, I'm so sorry. Who doesn't know Jim? Look at that. A few percent only.
We will end that today.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
better, for worse.
So, in the top 5 financial influencer, blogger, drinker, and everything, right?
Okay.
So you've got a great story for us. The floor is yours.
Good morning. There we go. Some of you have already met me. I've been here for the last 2 days. I was a moderator for the Innovation Summit, which was a great honor, and this is even a better honor. I've heard about this award and seen the awards for a number of years. I follow the Accenture report that comes out and the report from the Infosys and Finacle report, and the innovation that's being done in Europe and overseas from the States is far beyond what we're seeing in the United States. If you look at the list, it is interesting, but I think maybe overstated that the United States was ranked 9th as far as innovative countries. I would hazard to guess we might be even lower than that. But when we look at innovation, and we look at countries that are innovating right now, what's interesting is the companies that are innovating in the same areas that the awards are today. Distribution, both digital and physical. Customer experience, the big data, all these are the same. And when we talk about Uber, we talk about Amazon, we talk about Airbnb, we talk about Tesla, we're talking about digital companies. They're technology companies. They're companies that have found a way to deliver services to a greater number of people at a lower cost in a simple way. And isn't that what we're trying to achieve? We're trying to be disruptors. We're trying to deliver a better customer service through more channels, an opt-to-channel experience, more simply and in a way that people have a great customer experience. So what makes Uber, Uber? How many of you have taken an Uber, had an Uber ride? That's amazing. You can see growth if I had the same question asked 2 years ago. We had 4 or 5, and they were bragging about it. But what a great experience it is. You take an Uber ride, and it's simple and intuitive. Okay, so what we're talking about is, it's simple. It's a one button, but it answers all the questions. And I found out how intuitive it could be, which can create a problem in that my first Uber ride was in Boston. I was in my hotel room. I said, I'm going to order an Uber car. I ordered the Uber car, came down. I saw my driver's name. I saw his license plate number. I saw the kind of car he had. I saw where he was. I saw the car going around, and then it stopped. But no Uber. I'm looking around. I'm saying, close, but where is he? What? There wasn't that much traffic out. I couldn't understand why. What had happened was I ordered the car from my room. My room is in the back of the hotel. Where was the Uber driver? In the back of the hotel. So it's not always as intuitive as you'd like it to be, which is what we're seeing with beacon technology, in that as beacons are good, they can also give you false positives. Removal of pain. Who has ever had a good taxi ride? Quite a few. Okay, we have one person. He probably drives a taxi. But the bottom line is there's usually something wrong. Dirty car, impolite driver, or my favorite, where do you want to go? You tell them, how do you get there? I thought that's your job. You remove the pain points. You have integration of payments. Every technology right now that I'm talking about today, Uber, Amazon, Airbnb, Tesla, all have integrated payments digitally within their process. In addition, value add. If you're not adding value, we're not making a real innovation. We're seeing this in mobile payments. Why haven't mobile payments really taken off? We have not given a person a reason to get rid of the payment process they already have. Mobile-centric. When we look at Uber, it is a mobile-centric platform. There's nothing else. Everything's within an easy app. What's also nice, it's very simple. It's seamless. It's one tap to ride. How many taps does it take for a person to apply for a current account at your bank? How many taps does it take to find out their balance? Does it take any taps? We have to make it simple. Reliable. How reliable is the experience with your bank? Not the bank. The banks are very reliable. We're all trusted. But how reliable is the experience? When somebody goes online or digitally or mobile to your app, do they get the experience they would expect to receive? Oh, and by the way, that expectations are no longer being set by the other people in this room. They're being set by the Uber drivers, by Amazon, by Apple. Clear pricing. How clear is our pricing? How easy is it for somebody to make a comparison shop? Uber, I have 4 car values, and in some places you have a 5th one called Uber Taxi. I know exactly which one I want based on pricing, and you can find out your price estimate. Cashless and convenient. How many weren't surprised when they got out of their first Uber ride and realized, I didn't have to take out a wallet, it's done. I wasn't sure what was done. I wasn't sure what my tip was going to be or anything else, but it's all taken care of. Feedback. How many of you here actually proactively ask for feedback on your mobile app within the mobile app? Interesting. How many of you use other apps that continually ask you to rate how well they're doing? Maybe it's a situation where we really don't want to know. And finally, sharing your fare. How many of us have an easy way of using a mobile or an online application if you have multiple accounts or if you want to bring family members? And I keep on mentioning accounts, and that's probably the wrong way to discuss financial services, because really, are we really interested in our financial accounts or our financial wherewithal? Shouldn't we be bringing current accounts, savings accounts, investment accounts, credit cards, all within one umbrella, and not have it being separated the way our accounting system did in 1970? That's how we've built our platforms. It's not really a customer-centric experience. Airbnb, crowdsourced hospitality. It's very similar to crowdsourced lending, in that what happens here is everybody participates and you buy from the whole marketplace. Whole marketplace, and it looks like we have a little conversion issue, but it's $20 billion valuation, 1.5 million listings, 34,000 cities, 190 countries. When asked, what is the valuation of Airbnb, Starwood's chairman a month ago said, it is higher than all the rest of the hospitality companies combined. Interestingly, Airbnb was established in 2007, I think, but they just became popular when the digital marketplace caught up to their platform. It's also digital first engagement. Most people will do it online, so it's an omni-channel experience or opti-channel experience, but it's very simple. You can see the properties, you can evaluate the properties, you can price the properties, all with simple clicks. Unique experience. How many of you would say that your mobile or your branch experience is unique? Idea Bank can, but who else? That's a very unique experience. But are we surprising and delighting our customers as they walk in the branch, or if they get on our online app, or if they look at our mobile app? Are we surprising them with a positive experience and saying, that was fun? Social engagement. We have a real problem in the banking industry looking at social engagement. We're not too sure how to play. We're not sure if we're going to have social payments. But all these platforms have massive social interaction about them. Uber, Airbnb, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, lots of social interaction. It's a good way to have free advertising. How much do you think that Tesla's had to advertise up to now in digital marketing? Supply's higher, or demand's higher than supply. Kind of a nice situation to be in. Amazon. What we're looking at here is an innovation or a disruptor who's reliable, multi-channel, for sure, a vast assortment. If I can't find it on Amazon, I'm not too sure if I want to purchase it. Preferential pricing. So my entire Christmas shopping is done through Amazon. And interestingly, another innovator is how I pay for it. I pay for it with PayPal. Why? I don't want to enter my credit card or my debit card number over and over and over again. There may be some risk involved, but the overall experience is single taps. I can put a search item in there and say what I want to find. It will show me where I can find it, what the price is going to be. I'm a Prime member. Now, by the way, anybody a Prime member in Amazon? How many of you have had your family members say, can you buy me something on Amazon because I want faster delivery and I don't want to pay for it? I mean, that's what you end up with. I have the whole family now having me, they're sending me links saying, do my Christmas shopping for me, and everything's going to my house. But the reason is preferential pricing. It is easier than going to the store, and it's more reliable. What's interesting, too, about Amazon, they are the master at big data analytics, predictive analytics. We discussed it yesterday when I was up here talking about the fact that our biggest challenge right now in the financial services industry, and the one way we can defend ourselves against startups, is we own more information about our customers than anyone else. However, if we give away that or don't leverage that insight, then the startups have the upper hand. We have scale and we have big data. I'm tired of getting pieces of information from my bank that don't relate to what my level of expertise is or what I want to be or where I want to be. Amazon continues to recommend what I should possibly buy next. It does get a bit confusing when I start buying for family members. I'm not too sure what Amazon thinks I am, at least at holiday time, because their models get all thrown off. But when you look at models, how many of you think that digitals are millennials? Good. In reality, I'm a digital. I'm not a millennial. So what we get faced with is realizing in our big data world, do we make false assumptions? Do we assume that all millennials are digitals? A pretty good assumption. Do we assume that all digitals are millennials? Not a good assumption. Beyond that, how many people really analyze what channel the customer prefers as part of their marketing efforts? We're finding that age and income were always the best predictors. But some of the best analysts out there now are saying, you know what, the way the person wants the service delivered is a better predictor of customer experience, customer service, satisfaction, and where they rate us. And unfortunately, J.D. Power, about 6 months ago, did a study, and all banks in the United States, but I'm sure it relates over here as well, all banks in the United States satisfaction rates went up again. And we all pat ourselves on the back. Dig deeper in the report, and it shows that was despite the satisfaction on mobile banking going down. Why is that? Because expectations are going up faster. And oh, by the way, the fact that satisfaction goes up in banking is rated against banking. So we have a good rating compared to what we had, but they also say for a bank. I have better service and better recognition of what my needs are at local retailers and at my dry cleaner than I do at my bank. Mistakes continually made. Culture of innovation. This is an example of Amazon's culture of innovation. They have little pieces of software now, hardware, that you can push when you need another one, and it's ordered for you. Put that on your laundry, on your washer, dryer. Push it, it orders. Oh, physical distribution. I'm not too sure this is ever going to happen. There's more and more regulations about it. But how about a droid delivering products to your door? Frightening as far as I'm concerned. But they're continually innovating. They're not letting anything stand. And they realize that speed to market is important. So what used to be a centralized distribution network for Amazon is now distributed. Why? I can get it to you quicker. Because really what we're looking for is faster, easier, and one click. The Apple effect. This is not unique. This is probably not earth-shattering. It's not a company you haven't heard of. But I think what you have to do is, from a banking perspective, think, how can I leverage some of these things? So Apple effect. Aren't they the masters of fashion and design? I mean, you may not like everything. Everybody who has a Google tells you how good the functionality is. Everybody who has an Apple device tells you how cool it is. I just had the experience where my contract ran up. And Actually, there's no better feeling than saying, my contract's up, I get a new phone. And now I have it synced where they're gonna give me a new phone every year. I don't know if that's good or bad news, but I now have set up a lease. But it's interesting though, it feels good. Now mind you, the Plus, not for me. I don't have a pocket big enough and it would not look right, and I use it too much for just phone use. But design is so good. How many times do you go into any of your branches, or how many times you go into other stores and feel really good after you've made a purchase of $2,000? I just bought an iMac, 27-inch screen, beautiful device. Now, mind you, to think about that computer that you can carry out in a very small box, and that you say, I finally made it. I got that computer. I no longer have to use my laptop for publishing and doing all the work I do. You could not have a happier person. I'm going, oh my gosh, and I get to get a phone in 2 weeks. I'm going, I get to come back here and spend more money. Oh, and by the way, that effect goes into their storefronts. A banking storefront, brick, dark, few people, if any people, besides the people that work there. You can't go by an Apple storefront. This is the one in Amsterdam. You cannot go by an Apple storefront without saying, I'm being drawn in. What are these people having fun with that I haven't seen yet? I've gone into the stores in 5 cities, or 3 cities, in the last 2 months. They're the same thing, just better stores. There's not anything new introduced. I know it if they were, because they communicate to me. But how many of us really would like to have an inviting storefront? In Cleveland, we have a lot of cloudy days. The sun comes out of the Apple stores where you see the bright lights and you see the people of all ages. Interestingly, at times I think they actually have the senior classes up front to prove to people it's okay. The young people don't need encouragement to go in. They're going to buy things over and over and over again. Oh, and by the way, the Beacon technology allows me to pay without ever going to a cash register. It's all integrated payments, payment innovation, made it simple. So in banking also, integrated payments. We all know about Apple Pay. The concern I have about Apple Pay is they can make it so simple that the experience will be owned by Apple. And all I'm doing as a bank is trying to make sure that my card gets associated with that. But what kind of experience am I providing there? I'm not providing any experience. The experience is actually owned by Apple. They say they're not going to capture information. I don't care as a consumer. But who's my loyalty now to? And so what you're then doing is saying, you're competing to say, hey, put my card into the Apple wallet. And then you try to get top of wallet. But doesn't the experience actually get owned by Apple? And why is that? What can we learn from that? Again, simplicity, ease, intuitiveness. How many of our mobile apps are intuitive? How many people could pick it up for the first time and know how to get to where they're going? My brother just got an Apple phone as well, and he hadn't had one since the 4. He got it, and he goes, "Where's it? I don't think they left the directions in there." He's also a senior like I am, but the reality was they don't need directions. It's all intuitive. How many times do we have to give people directions about, in our case, mobile deposit capture, or just as simple as of how do you apply for an account? Is it easy to apply for an account in your organization? If it isn't, we have to think about that. Tesla, what kind of company is that? What industry do you think it is? This is a participation moment. What industry are they in? I kind of led into it, but you're right, it's a technology company. It's a computer with an automobile around it. It's the most amazing technological automobile or even device out there right now. Well, you can talk about self-driving cars all you want, but what's interesting is that Tesla, very much like Amazon and very much like Apple, is a full stack infrastructure. I'd say Amazon is probably a half stack or where they don't produce a product, but full stack architecture. Tesla, this is the store in Amsterdam. As you can see, it's relatively small. It's just a showroom. Why? They don't have salespeople. They'll show the car. They'll be like Apple. They'll show what the device is. But you buy it online. And there's no negotiation. That may be a supply and demand issue. But what's interesting about Tesla is the computerization of the car. Service is done without you going in to a dealership. Why? They simply upgrade the software. What his problem is, how long does it usually take to upgrade a mobile device? About 6 months is the upgrade period usually. How long does it take to upgrade an automobile? Most automobiles out there, besides Tesla, that have computers in them today were developed 4 years ago. Does anybody remember how popular BlackBerry was 4 years ago? So what we're doing is, most automobile companies are in the BlackBerry era, while Tesla is in the Apple era. And so when they had a recall, and the recall is done in a nanosecond. They push a button, the adjustment's made to the software of the security system or the drivetrain. Why? There's few moving parts besides the computer skills. The integration is not just navigational. It doesn't just monitor what your systems are able to do. It actually changes it. You want a new car? Look, it's an upgrade software, a software upgrade. How long does it take for us to innovate in banking? We had a gentleman on from Citibank yesterday, and they're doing some really, really amazing things in mobile area. But I was taken aback by the announcement they made, I guess it was a week and a half ago, where they're introducing Citi FinTech, their new mobile innovation lab. And they said, and we're going to be introducing what we're going to come up with in the fourth quarter of 2016. Boy, I give them a lot of credit. They got a whole lot of publicity for that. But 2016, I'm hoping that that's a big innovation process, and what they come out with is what they decided in the third quarter of 2016. How long does it take us to get consensus and to be able to upgrade our applications? Really what they're battling for is a customer interface. Look at Google, look at PayPal, look at Apple, look at Twitter, look at Amazon, look at Facebook. They're learning more and more. I get frightened, I think, almost every day by Facebook. It was bad enough when they could pre-tag all the people in my pictures based on other pictures that they have of these people. Oh, is this your brother? Is this your friend? Is this so-and-so? Is this so-and-so? But now, when you communicate about something, I communicated with somebody who went to Australia recently, and all of a sudden, I'm getting information about Australia on Facebook. What's interesting is they're leveraging insight to own the customer interface, and that's the thing that we own. Let's use the data to apply that. I believe this might be there we go.
People look around and they realize that we are living in what's essentially revolutionary times.
Over the last 5 years, there's been several billion-dollar companies started by designers, and that's a new phenomenon.
Companies are starting to get closer to the idea that if you can create an amazing experience, it's going to help improve your business.
Engineers think about computers and think about systems. Does this actually functionally work? Where designers have to think about people and their emotional state and their quirks and idiosyncrasies.
At its best, design is human. It's not about, does it have drop shadows? Is it pretty? It's more about the connection I have to it.
When we think about designing products, we're trying to tap into things that are natural and to like and share things. These are things that existed well before Facebook did.
We are just in the infancy of developing a whole language around gestures. The first time that I zoomed, it was like, oh, fantastic. I almost want to get to a point where I can caress products because that's humane. I don't click people.
We're going to draw 3 panels of a solution. What we want to do is think about how a user is actually going to navigate through an interface.
We can quickly build stuff and test it with users, so we'll know when something as subtly has changed about our environment and a new thing is possible.
And that's when you can be very, very powerful, very dangerous to the incumbent.
Even the best companies in the world that just have amazing processes, they're vulnerable if they haven't thought about design.
There's less space today for a clunky, painful experience.
People have choice now. If they open it up and in a few seconds they don't immediately understand the value, they're done.
I think at the end of the day, what we really want to know is how big of a human problem are we solving?
The questions now aren't, can we build it? Because more and more the answer is yes, we can build anything. The question is, what is the future that we want to build together? For me, that's the power of design.
When it comes to financial services, I'm a little strange. That gives me chills. Because you think about what makes the difference between an app or a company you want to work with and one that's just another company. It's getting to be design. Yesterday, we heard from companies from each continent and amazing things they did. Each one of them not only had amazing design, but some of them even designed their presentation. There were thank yous on the web, on Twitter today, thanking companies that helped to create their presentation. That's attention to design in everything that people do. How many of you have a design firm that is part of your innovation team? Not very many. This is my trend of prediction for 2016. Next year, when I'm hopefully here again in some capacity, I will ask that same question. More than half the room will raise their hands. We've already seen BBVA, Cap One, Citi, Chase, Bank of America hire and integrate design teams. Now, the key there is don't destroy the innovation. So what do we see in call to action? Customer centricity. I unfortunately was one that put down digital as being one of the major things, yet here it gave me the answer, customer centricity. And that's easy to say, harder to do. It does not mean service, it means experience. If you give a great experience, you've given great service. A culture of innovation. If innovation is within a department and not at the top of the organization, it will not work. You're simply a department that's getting budget, but there's not a mentality that says, create something new. We saw amazing examples yesterday, and we're already seeing examples today of organizations that you know right when you see them, that goes all the way to the top. Contextual engagement, there's an MT there. But in contextual engagement, what I mean is, know how I want to engage. Make sure alerts and notifications. In the banking world, we believe that alerts and notifications have to do with things that go wrong. How about have alerts and notifications about things that go right? Somebody opens an account. Let's give them an alert on an SMS that says, by the way, we have an ice cream cone down the street for you. Let's have an alert that says, you're going past a merchant that we have an agreement with. You can get a special discount if you mention our name. Attention to design. I've just talked about it. That is a major issue and something that makes a difference. Digital first, we say it a lot, but what I like to say is, think of what you'd want to create on an Apple Watch or on an HCM screen and bring that to the mobile and online experience. Simplify, simplify, simplify. Coopetition. We can't build it all ourselves. Be willing to buy, or as somebody brought up yesterday, be willing to steal ideas, because we don't own all that. My wife was in merchandising. I'm afraid half of you heard this story already, but my wife's in merchandising. Their best products were ones that they copied from overseas, usually Europe or the Far East, and put their own spin on it. Don't be afraid to take another idea and making it better. Revised distribution. We're already in the midst of this, but that even means in the physical distribution networks, let's think about new ways of distributing. Idea Bank. We're going to see other examples today. Amazing changes in the way they distribute products. And an Idea Bank situation to the SME marketplace. So they're doing the double down. New distribution to a market that's not being served very well digitally as it is. And lastly, agile. Be able to be flexible and be quick. 2-year time frames, 1-year time frames, 6 months time frames have got to go out the window. We've got to continually innovate. Oh, and why don't we send notifications to our customers to say, we just upgraded your app. This is what's new. We don't do that. We keep it secret. Or we do a big splash but don't tell our customers, we tell the media. This has been a great honor. You are an amazing group of innovators, people from the part of the world that, as I told Philippe, I said, in Europe and every other continent besides the North American continent, and specifically the US, you're part of the universe. We realize in the United States, and there's a lot of people like this, that believe we are the universe. And the reality is we can't think that way. As bankers, we have to realize that what we have to do is we have to be able to adjust quickly and learn from you people, because you're doing the best things in the marketplace. You're making a difference, and hopefully others will catch on. I thank you.
Can we come back on the previous slide? Two things. First, see line number 3. I don't think you made a mistake. You just told us, engage me.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah?
I thought my eyes were going bad, my age problem.
Cool, that's it. And yes, you will be invited next year.
Okay,
Point taken.
Thank you.
So, do we have questions for Jim? Thank you so much for your presentation. So, maybe now can we get to the question? And I need to stay with me. Stay with me. Yeah. You're going to be part of it. I'd like to raise a question, and while we discuss a bit. And now we've seen how we can be inspired by the other industries. But what I'd like to ask you, and remember the link to vote, efma.com/awards poll, is do you think other industries can learn from banking or insurance sector? Really, we'd like to get your answer, yes or no. That will be very interesting. We'll leave that for a few minutes while we get for one Q&A. Let's just go over there and sit, because I see you're tired. Okay, so if we don't have question, I think you've seen a lot of things now, and looking at what you just explained, what are a few nice examples that you can take within the banking sector which applied the nice inspiration as you showed? So if you just need to, this is an unexpected one. I know.
I think when we're looking at the digital engagement, when we look at the One Tap, one of my favorite financial apps is a very thin app. It's Square Cash. It allows me to pay with a single touch, and giving a person's email address, they're able to pay somebody directly, and that's it. I put in my credit card. It's a nice P2P. What's interesting about that, and a flaw in almost every P2P network, is we haven't integrated the address book. So what happens is when you first use any kind of P2P payment network, you end up having to type in what you want that person to be, as opposed to at least pulling suggestions from my address list. So it's not simplified. Mm-hmm. I think from a design perspective, there's an example almost every week in the European community of a new financial player coming to the marketplace, and their focus is on design and simplicity. We know about the move-ins, but look at the interaction, the social side of Fedora Bank, and the way they've integrated different elements that most banks don't do. And I think we can learn from a lot of these. And it's interesting because despite the fact that we have a lot of innovators out there, when I ask a question, traditionally bankers would have secret shoppers. They go to other banks in the neighborhood and figure out what they're doing. It's amazing how many bankers, even at the innovation level, have not done a secret shop of some of the digital companies that are out there that are in our industry. They haven't opened an account. They haven't gone through the experience of, geez, I can open an account in 6 taps or 7 taps, and I don't have to have the person do everything I do paperwork-wise. So those are some examples.
Okay, it's funny because if I take your example, Fedora, we often hear Moven, then you said Square. It comes to the same company since 2-3 years. So do you think banks don't do more, or do they not market what they do?
We have different challenges. We have significant, most companies I'm speaking of don't have the same compliance levels that they have to answer to, and because they're doing not a full stack. We have everything. So everything we do, even when it doesn't have to be, gets viewed by compliance. Compliance is our anti-sales team right now, and it's creating a real challenge for most organizations. And on top of that, I think we have a situation where banks are having to determine, can I work with the same infrastructure? We talked about yesterday that some organizations are thinking, I may set up a completely different bank to be able to do what I want to do without all the other components. And rather than continually adjusting my back office infrastructure, develop a brand new infrastructure that can address the digital bank.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and then you're touching the point which is for me a kind of paradox, because we know that standards in digital use are set up by cool industries, other industries. But at the same, and then we expect banks to do that, partially at least. But at the same time, we know that people expect banks to be serious. They see a number of things that those digital cool companies dare to do with data, for example, which people would not allow to banks. So, you know, where is the contradiction there?
People will not allow banks to do things with data when we don't use it well. You don't hear many complaints of people saying, you know what did you use to give me the perfect product? What they do is say, you have all this information, why did you give me the bad product? Or you say you're using information, but you're marketing to me the wrong way. So I think part of the challenge is we don't use our data very well. And so we don't make it a value-add experience. If we're going to use the data, we've got to provide value, because if we don't, eventually the consumer's going to say, I need you to pay me for my data. So what they mean right now when I say financial institutions have to tell the customer, you know them, you look out for them, and you reward them. That reward component is, are you giving me a better experience than I could get elsewhere? Not just tangible rewards.
Okay, good. Now, why don't we look at the results?
Okay.
Can we see how you voted on that question?
Oh, there we go.
Ooh.
Now the second question is, how?
What?
Exactly.
What and how? So what I suggest, we have a booth outside. Everyone who said yes, please come and tell us what, and we'll have a look after break time, okay? Now, let's show appreciation to Jim. Thank you so much. Stay with us, stay with me.